want to talk about value. Value is probably the most important part of a painting. Value is how dark something is or how light something is. Now, I have my darkest dark up here, which I'll use as a black. And I've almost, this is just a shade off of white, but I needed you to see the white, the drastic difference here between the two. And we'll do a little scale here. These are my colors. These are ultramarine blue, permanent red medium, and cad yellow light, and titanium white. I tend to always work in that 3-color system. It's easier for me. It challenges me to mix better paint, challenges me to mix better value, and it also inspires me to see how red I can make a green. So I like to challenge myself that way too. Anyway, we're talking about value tonight. So the difference between the darkest dark in your painting and the lightest light. You're going to want to stay within, say we've got 7 value tones on the scale from dark to light, okay? And so I've got my darkest dark, which is a blue and a red mixture, because since I'm coming from a limited palette. So all I did was mix equal parts blue with equal parts red. And I came up with this brown or dark value here. As you can see, it's the same as that. And then I wanted a really white one, so I just kind of picked up a little bit of blue, little tiniest bit of blue, red, and yellow, just to gray my white down just a little bit so you can see it instead of versus putting just white on top of white. You wouldn't be able to see it. So this is my value range. Now some paintings that I will be painting and have a different value range. Like this painting here has a value range. If you look at it and think of what's light and what's dark in this painting, it's pretty easy to see the majority of this painting is going to be on the high key side. So it's going to lean on this side of the value scale versus in the middle or versus in the dark. As you can see, my darkest dark in my barn is nowhere near as dark as this darkest dark up here. And my lightest light, which is the sky, is nowhere near the value of the white up here. So you're always working within a value scale of a painting while you're outside, and just in general you want to mix up a lot of grays. This painting really works with grays. There's no real yellow. There's no real red. There's no real blue. I do like this gray value back here. I would say overall, in general, my eye picks up this value as the overall tone, medium value of the whole piece. Is it carries weight. It's just a little. This is very close to it. This value here is very close to it, but yet this value still reads light. Everything in here is really close in like a 3-step. If there were many more squares up here, which I can mix up here. So I want to go halfway between here and here. I'm doing this as an example of so just a little bit of red, a little bit of blue. Kind of mix equal parts of them. Since I'm going to work this value scale out, I'll mix a little bit bigger pile. Always want to mix with your knife too. So since I'm doing half this and half that, I also need to mix more white too, so let me do that. That has just a little, tiniest little bit of all three. That's why it's so important to work with a knife, to mix with a knife, because you can get tiniest little increments of color, and you can control it better.
Okay. I'm gonna mix up a little bit more of that.
Because that's got to be going, once we do it halfway, I want about 7 squares. Alright, so let me go halfway. I might even have to mix up more of that, but
we're going to do pretty much equal parts of the lightest light and the darkest dark.
I think I could go a little bit darker. So to darken anything, you always mix blue and red. And to gray it up, that's about halfway. Gray it up, you're going to want to put just a little bit of yellow in it, because yellow, that's purple right now, so yellow will take the purpleness out of it. It'll gray it down a little bit, which is what I'm looking for. I tend to spend more time mixing than actually painting, which is so much fun for me. Okay, so I'm just gonna, this is my neutral. It's about halfway in between this value and that value. Now, I'm gonna go dark. I'm gonna do equal parts between this light and that dark. That's gonna be in the middle of these two. And then put a little Alright, so you're starting to see the progression. Down to that. I think that could go a little bit lighter.
Let me get that off.
So that's kind of a general term of a value scale. I try to keep it in odd number of cues, but if you look, so nearly 90% of this painting is done within these 3 values right here. If you really look down, squint your eye down, there's a little bit of this, but just a little bit right in there, and maybe a highlight on the, but you want to try to keep your paintings within 3 value, outdoor paintings I'm speaking of, when you go plein air, when you go outside and learn from nature. Then you can incorporate so many more aspects of values into your colors. Um, the amount of information you can explore is endless, and it just takes doing. I always love doing these, just value ideas on a Centurion. I use the Centurion lemon, and it comes in a book of 10 sheets or so, and you just rip a sheet out and tape it to a piece of board, and you practice on these little guys, and they're so essential in improving your work and growth as an artist. That is practicing your craft is so important, and these panels are essential to your growth. So hopefully you will use them to your benefit and do some more painting.